President Trump has consistently suggested the possibility of serving more than 2 terms as president. He believes the 2020 election, which he lost to Joe Biden, was rigged and denied him the opportunity to serve the nation.
52 days from now, we're going to win Nevada, and we're going to win 4 more years in the White House. And then after that, we'll negotiate, right? Because we're probably, based on the way we were treated, we're probably entitled to another 4 after that.
Reporting now about President-elect Trump's meeting with House Republicans happening right now. He apparently told them, quote, "I suspect I won't be running again unless you say he's so good we've got to figure something else out." Those comments.
If you want to save America, get your friends, get your family, get everyone you know, and vote. Vote early, vote absentee, vote on election day. I don't care how, but you have to get out and vote. And again, Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed, it'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote. FDR, 16 years, almost 16 years. He was 4-term. I don't know. Are we going to be considered 3-term or 2-term? You tell me. Ronnie, what do you think?
But one of Trump's closest allies says that Trump will not extend his term.
Congressman Troy Nehls, one of Trump's closest allies on Capitol Hill, repeatedly assured reporters that the president-elect would only serve 1 more term.
Oh, stop it, you guys. Stop all that. President Trump's going to be president for 4 more years. That's what we have. Stop all this stuff. Don't you guys have more important things to focus on and instead of all that garbage?
Well, Congressman Goldman came to us.
Well, who is Congressman Goldman? I don't know. The point I'm making is we had a great meeting this morning. President Trump shows up at our conference, and it was just so reassuring, and it just very positive comments coming from the 47th president. It's a new day in America.
Many Republicans also support Trump's idea of serving for more than 2 terms. So Republican Andy Ogles has proposed a change to the 22nd Amendment to increase the number of terms a president can serve, from 2 to 3. Why? Because Ogles believes that President Trump's decisive leadership stands in stark contrast to the chaos, suffering, and economic decline Americans have endured over the past 4 years. He argues that Trump has proven himself to be the only figure in modern history capable of reversing the nation's decay and restoring America to greatness. Ogles insists that Trump must be given the time necessary to accomplish that goal. To that end, he is proposing an amendment to the Constitution to revise the limitations imposed by the 22nd Amendment on presidential terms. This amendment would allow President Trump to serve 3 terms, ensuring that the nation can sustain the bold leadership it so desperately needs. Currently, under the 22nd Amendment, a person can serve as president for a maximum of 2 terms, regardless of whether those terms are consecutive or non-consecutive. What does the Andy's proposed change to the 22nd Amendment say? No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than 3 times, nor be elected to any additional term after being elected to 2 consecutive terms, and no person who has held the office of president, or acted as president, for more than 2 years of a term to which some other person was elected president shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. This means that a person can serve as U.S. president for 3 terms, but there must be a gap between the first 2 terms. Only then can they serve for 2 more terms. The proposed amendment also states that any person who has served for 2 continuous terms cannot serve a 3rd term. It looks like this proposed amendment has been customized just for President Trump to serve 3 terms, as it doesn't allow any previous president like Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, or George W. Bush to serve 1 more term since they have served 2 consecutive terms. What is the process for approving and ratifying an amendment? It's not easy to get amendments approved. For any new proposed amendment to get ratified, it must go through several steps. 1. The amendment must be proposed by a 2/3 majority vote in both the House of Representatives and the Senate. 2. Once proposed, the amendment must be sent to the state legislatures or state conventions for ratification. 3. The amendment must be ratified by 3/4 38 out of 50 of the state legislatures or state conventions. What does this mean? In the Senate, a 2/3 majority means at least 67 votes out of 100 are required in favor of the amendment. In the House of Representatives, there are 435 members, so a 2/3 majority requires at least 290 votes in favor of the amendment. What are state legislatures and state conventions? State legislatures are regularly elected lawmakers who debate and vote on the amendment. State conventions are specially elected delegates who focus solely on the ratification of the amendment. This move by Republicans looks to be well planned, as it can take a long time to pass this amendment, and Trump's term has just begun. Additionally, Congressman Dan Goldman, after listening to Trump's frequent rants about running for more than 2 terms, has introduced a resolution reaffirming the 22nd Amendment and condemning President Trump's statements suggesting he could serve beyond the 2-term limit. Goldman emphasizes that the Constitution clearly prohibits any person from being elected president more than twice and calls on all members of Congress to uphold this principle. Now let's peek into the history of amendments. The United States Constitution hasn't changed much since it was adopted in 1787. However, it has been tweaked by 27 amendments. Some were ratified in a few months, while another took more than 2 centuries. The first set of amendments to the Constitution were proposed in 1789. It took approximately 2 years and 3 months for the amendments to be ratified. While 12 amendments were proposed, only 10 were approved. At that time, there were 13 states, and approval was required from 10 of those states. These 10 approved amendments are known today as the Bill of Rights, which became part of the Constitution on December 15, 1791. That's why every year December 15 is observed as Bill of Rights Day. This effort was led by James Madison, who is also known as the father of the Constitution. Let's take a look at amendments that were ratified. The first proposed amendment, dealing with congressional apportionment, was never ratified. This means it never became part of the Constitution. The second proposed amendment, dealing with congressional pay, states that a sitting Congress cannot raise its own salary. If it wants to increase its pay, the raise cannot take effect until after the next election of representatives, next Congress. This amendment was approved by the Michigan and New Jersey legislatures on the same day in 1992, over 202 years after it was originally submitted to the 13 states by Congress. By 1992, an amendment required approval from 38 states, 3/4 of the states, to be ratified and become part of the Constitution. The second proposed amendment, once ratified in 1992, became the 27th Amendment to the Constitution. It essentially ensures that any changes to congressional pay do not take effect until after the next election of representatives. The 14th Amendment, which guarantees the rights of all individuals, took more than 2 years to be ratified. 2 post-Civil War amendments, the 13th and 15th, which outlawed slavery and gave ex-slaves the right to vote, men only, were ratified in 1865 and 1870 respectively in less than a year. The 26th Amendment, lowering the voting age to 18, was ratified in 100 days in 1971, in time for the 1972 election. Republicans won control of Congress in 1946 and wanted to make sure no one did what Franklin D. Roosevelt had done, run for more than 2 terms. The 22nd Amendment, limiting presidential tenure, took almost 4 years to be ratified but became part of the Constitution in 1951. It's interesting to note that it was Republicans who brought the 22nd Amendment, which prohibits any person from serving more than 2 terms as president, and now it's again Republicans who are trying to change it to 3 terms. How long will it take for the new proposed change to the 22nd Amendment? Well, first, the amendment must be proposed by a 2/3 majority vote in both the House of Representatives and the Senate. This means at least 67 votes in the Senate and 290 votes in the House. Once proposed, the amendment will be sent to the state legislatures or state conventions. Finally, the amendment must be ratified by 3/4 of the state legislatures or state conventions, which means approval from 38 out of 50 states. So it can take 3 months or 200 years, or it might not get sufficient votes in House. Anything is possible. We will have to wait and see how this proposed amendment moves forward, as President Trump's second term has just begun. What do you think? How long will it take for this new proposed change to the 22nd Amendment to allow President's third term? 3 months or 200 years? Mentioned in the comments below. That's it for this one. If you like this update, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.